Today I'm going to show you how to make a mini storage box. The box dimensions are going to be 6 inches by 8.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And I will be using this blue cardstock from my Mind's Eye. I have chosen the Commodore blue paper, which I have already taken out. I'm going to be using this paper because it's going to be decorated with the FotoBella God Bless America collection. So I've got my 3 pieces of cardstock and I'm going to show you how to start constructing the box. First, you're going to need a scoring tool. So I'm going to use my scoring board. And before I start scoring, I'm going to make sure to cut this to the right size. So I'm going to make one cut at 9.5 inches. And then the second side of the page, I will leave at 12 inches. On the 9.5 inch side, we're going to score this on each side at 1/4 of an inch. And then 1 3/4 of an inch. Same thing. 1/4 of an inch and 1 3/4 of an inch. Then along the 12-inch side, we are going to be scoring this at 1/4 of an inch. Then we're going to score again at 1 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to turn this and score at 1/4 inch and 1 3/4 of an inch. Next, what you are going to do is cut out some of these pieces. So we do not need the 2 pieces on the corners. So we're going to cut out this little tiny square in these rectangles on all 4 corners. So this is what the piece should look like whenever you finish cutting out all of the corner strips. We are next going to be folding on the lines. So I'm going to flip this over and start my folding. I'm going to use a bone folder to help to make sure that my creases are nice and smooth. Before folding the next side, we are going to cut on the score line. So I'm going to cut just so this square on each side can flip up. Same thing here. And then fold on these score lines. And I'm going to start by gluing down these little 1/4 inch flaps on the long edges. Next, I'm going to add glue. I'm actually going to trim these just slightly to make them a little bit easier to fold. Now I'm going to add glue to this flap. And I'm going to line up the corner to make sure that it's nice and straight. I'm going to hold this until it dries. If you're using double-sided tape, obviously it's a little bit quicker. Then I'm going to repeat on this side. And then repeat on the second set of flaps to close up the box. Now we're going to add glue to the 1/4 inch flaps to seal those closed. Now we have the basic box shape. For this next step, we're going to be cutting pieces for our inserts on the inside. I'm going to be cutting these strips to 2 inches. So we'll be cutting 3 strips that are 4 inches. The first strip we're going to cut to just slightly under 8.5 inches, not 8 3/8, but just slightly less. That way it will slide into the box easier. So when you have that, it will fit right inside of here. We're going to cut the second strip the same, just under 8.5. And then the third strip, we're going to cut in half at 6 inches. Now we're going to take the scoring tool and we're going to score these at 1/4 inch. Take each piece and flip over the 1/4 inch folds, and next you're going to glue those flaps down. Now if we bring our box in, we put these pieces into the box. I need to trim just one piece slightly. So if any of your pieces don't quite fit flush, just slightly trim until those pieces will fit in there nice and tight, but laying flat. I have my pieces where the textured part of the cardstock is actually facing the inside of the box here, so the folded over edge is actually going to be on the outside where you will not see it because that 1/4 of an inch sits below the other fold. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue these into my box. I'm going to take them back out and glue them in one at a time. And now we have the sides on. You'll notice that the box is starting to get sturdier. So that's what we want. We want that to happen. We're also going to be cutting another piece to place in the bottom here, just because we want it to be able to hold some weight. So what I'm going to do is bring my cutting mat back in. I'm going to cut this piece slightly less than 8.5 inches. And I'm going to trim this side to just slightly under 6 inches. And there we go. So next I'm going to add glue and place this into the bottom of my box. And this is the bottom of the box. We can set this aside and we will get started on the top. Next, we're going to make the lid for the box. So we're going to start by cutting our piece of cardstock. I'm going to cut this to measure 8 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to cut this side to measure 10 5/8 of an inch. Next, I'm going to bring my scoring tool in and I am going to score this all around at 1/2 inch. And 1 inch on all 4 sides. Next, I'm going to cut out all of the corner pieces like we did on the box bottom. So just the outside pieces, leaving the innermost square on each of the corners. Then I'm going to also cut to make this tab be able to fold, so I'm going to cut out a small sliver. And next I'm going to fold on all of the score lines. Next I'm going to glue the long flaps in, and then I'm going to start adding glue to my smaller flaps to close up the box. And then we're going to add glue to the flaps on the smaller edges and fold closed. Once the lid is complete, it should slide on top of the box. Just like that. So now we have our box constructed. The next thing we're going to do is cut the paper for the outside of the box. I am using this paper here, and I've already cut my pieces. So I have 4 pieces cut. So I have 2 pieces that measure 1 3/4 inches by 6 inches, and 2 pieces that measure 1 3/4 inches by 8.5 inches. I am going to take my scoring tool and I'm going to score each of these pieces at the top at 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm actually going to fold on the score lines. Once those are finished, the longer strips will go on the bottom of the box. And again, this edge is folded so that it's flush with this edge, so it's nice and crisp, and that will actually give it something that the box lid will sit on. So the more we build this up, the sturdier the box will be, but also the lid will catch a little bit easier. We're going to move on to the inside of the box. I've already pre-cut my pieces. I took the strips from the border sheet and I cut out both of the 4th of July borders, so it was in the top and the bottom of the page. And these are cut to measure 1 5/8 of an inch by 8.5 inches. So when I place these inside, I need to trim this one first to make it slightly smaller. When I place these inside, they will be just slightly lower than the actual height of the box itself so that it doesn't catch on anything. And then I cut the border strip that had the music notes for the Star Spangled Banner. I cut it 1 5/8 of an inch by 6 inches. These will need to be trimmed to go in the box. Now that I have these pieces, I'm going to glue them into the inside of the box. And now we have the insides of the box decorated and the outsides of the box decorated. We will next move on to the lid, then we'll come back later and we'll put a piece in the bottom of the box. For the top of the box, I'm going to be using the blue star paper. I'm cutting one piece 6 inches by 8.5 inches. I'm cutting 2 pieces 3/8 of an inch by 6 inches and 2 pieces that are 3/8 of an inch by 8.5 inches. So I'm going to glue this to the top, these to the smaller sides and these to the larger sides. And now we have the base of the box decorated. So once this is on the box, now that there are multiple layers of paper, the box lid will stay where it's supposed to be. So you'll see the different papers. and then we will continue to add more to this next. Next, I'm going to show you how to make the shaker element for the top. I have already done some of this work off camera to save some time. What you are going to need is this piece from the ephemera package of CartaBella God Bless America collection. And what I have done, I have already cut this. I used my craft knife and I cut all along this blue strip here. So what I did was cut this piece out, and now I have the frame. The frame, I've actually put some acetate on this to make the shaker window. I used double-sided tape to do that. And then I've also taken this piece, and on 2 pieces of chipboard, I have cut this frame out. I've glued those pieces together and I have marked around them with my alcohol markers in blue so that it will not be visible the different color. You'll be able to see the blue color whenever this is finished. So this is going to be raised to allow for the shaker pieces. I have already added my double-sided tape to this, and then I also took this piece and I traced this piece onto a piece of just plain blue cardstock for a base. And I cut that out. So what we're going to do to assemble this, we are going to start with putting this piece on the base, because this is going to be seen in the shaker window, and the shaker bits will actually be on top of this. So you'll still be able to see this picture whenever the shaker elements are just resting. So I'm going to add glue to this, and I'm going to center this right over top of the blue background. And then this piece is going to go on next. So I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to glue the chipboard onto the blue base. And it will frame the piece that's been cut out of the ephemera piece. Next, we're going to add our little confetti pieces. So I am using the Star Spangled Sprinklets from FotoBella, and this will be linked in the description box below, along with all the paper that I used today. And I'm just going to take my sprinklets and put a handful in. Put as many or as few as you want, but when you shake it, you want there to be a good bit, but you also want to be able to see the picture too. So, okay, once you have those, the next thing is to place the frame part down on here. So in order to do this, I already have my double-sided tape. So I'm going to peel the back off of my tape first. And then I'm going to take some glue just on some of the sections of the chipboard where there isn't any double-sided tape. I'm going to add just a little bit of glue to catch the edges of the ephemera piece as well. Just to make sure that it's going to be nice and stuck down, nothing sticking up. And once I have that, I'm going to take this and be very careful, because as soon as you stick this down, you're not going to have any room for adjustments. And then now we have our shaker piece. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in my lid. I've already pre-cut these pieces for the inside. So I have this paper here. This is the back side. I have cut my piece to measure 6 inches by 8.5 inches, and that's going to go here. Then each of these is 3/8 of an inch by 8.5 and 3/8 of an inch by 6 inches. So I'm going to glue these on to my lid. Now the inside of the lid is decorated with the banner paper and the plaid paper. We will go ahead and place the shaker element on the top. So it's going to go in the center. I'm going to have my box this direction. If you want to make your box with the shaker this direction, you can do that too, but decide which direction you want and go ahead and glue your shaker element into the center. And set this piece aside to dry and bring in your box. I've cut a piece of the floral paper to be just under 6 inches to just less than 8.5 inches. And I'm going to glue this to the base of the box. Now we have the floral paper on. We've got the lid inside decorated. Fits on here, and then what I'm going to do is add some additional embellishments. So I have these triumphant red flowers from Graphic 45 that I'm going to place around my shaker. So I'm going to start layering some of these flowers on, and I'm also going to be using some of the pieces from the ephemera pack and the frames and the tags packages, and I'm just going to select some of these, and then once I finish with this, I will show you the end result. So this is my finished box. I have taken 2 of the larger Graphic 45 flowers and 3 of the smaller buds and placed them in a configuration here. I added 1 of the smaller rose buds here, and then I took 2 of the pieces from the ephemera or from the frames and tags, and I stuck them here with some ribbons. And then I have another one of the rose buds, like I said. I have fussy cut some of these images left over from my scraps of paper, so I've just taken 2 of them, cut around them, and placed them in the corners here. And then I have a little teeny tiny thing that I put here. These are from the firecracker sprinklets, so I just put one of those swirls here to cover up some of the glue that was seeping through, and I just thought it looked cute. So that is my box completely decorated. On the inside of my box, I've actually placed my Julie Nutting doll banner that I made for one of my other FotoBella design team projects. So if you want to see how the banner was made or see how these girls were made, you can look at the FotoBella blog. I will post those in the description box below. So the banner is inside of here, and that's what I made this box for, was to be able to store my banner. The banner actually has room on the back to be a tag album, so this will be my storage box for that. This project, all of the papers and the supplies are going to be linked in the description box below to the FotoBella website, so you can purchase all of the different things that you need to make this box if you don't already have the papers. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.